Hey everybody, a very warm welcome back to our channel. I'm Mrs Moonstomper.
And I'm Mr Moonstomper. Guys, it's amazing to have you on board. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you subscribe, then thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, then what are you waiting for? It doesn't cost you a penny. So, Mrs Moonstomper and viewers, this episode is all about none other than
Ozzy Osbourne.
the Prince of Darkness, no more, no less.
I know.
From my lovely hometown in Birmingham.
Yes. Before we start, can I just wish all the Moonstompers, wish them all very well. I hope you're doing all well as well.
There you go. There you go. Right from Mrs Moonstomper's mouth, so.
Yes. Ozzy Osbourne, yes.
Ozzy Osbourne, where do you even start with Ozzy Osbourne? Wow.
The great bit of the Midlands, your neck of the woods.
Absolutely, and he's a bit older than me, but I kind of grew up with Black Sabbath in mind because that's what there was.
Yes.
And why wouldn't you? As an Aston Villa fan, going to Aston Villa and just all those things. It's as Birmingham can be.
That's it.
So yes, I'm an avid Black Sabbath fan. Always have been, always will be, and I'm a crazy Ozzy fan as well.
Certainly are. Oh, yes.
So, Mrs Moonstomper.
Yes, Mr Moonstomper.
What do you know about Ozzy Osbourne?
Ozzy, he was born John Michael Osbourne in 1948, like you said, in the West Midlands. Lovely part of Aston.
He was actually born in Marston Green, which is that's down the road, so that's not far from. Well, it wasn't Birmingham Airport, then it's called Elmdon Airport. But he was born in Marston Green Hospital and grew up in Lodge Road, Aston.
I see.
Number 14 to be precise.
Oh.
There you go.
Knock on his door.
Well, there you go. Well, the house is still there, obviously.
I was going to say, he'll be there no more.
I think the house actually got a blue plaque on it.
Okay, well.
Or is it a green plaque or whatever?
I think it's blue when you're alive. Or...
Blue when you're dead.
Oh,
green when you're alive. Yeah.
Okay,
or some
I think
such.
I heard something like that.
So, yeah, and obviously nicknamed the Prince of Darkness, which is he sort of nicknamed that himself. But but Ozzy was the nickname.
Yes.
So, right, the early years of Ozzy, right? So, he was a Beatles fan.
Oh yes.
First and foremost, and to sort of look at him, to hear him, you just wouldn't have thought it.
I know.
But when he sort of first heard the Beatles in the early 60s, that's what he wanted to be. He wanted to be a singer, and he thought, I could do this too.
I thought you was going to say he wanted to be a Beatle.
Well,
no,
he probably did.
Be a singer.
He probably did. Everyone's sort of got that ambition, haven't they? Or they do when they're a teenager. They want to do something. So,
yes.
Okay, so well, where do you even start? So,
his early years. He left school at 15 years old.
Yeah, and quite the eccentric too.
Yes.
So, rumour would have it walking around with no shoes, with an imaginary dog.
Oh, just an empty lead, is it?
Yes, you do. And
bless him.
Other things as well. So that cross. So if you've ever looked at Ozzy Osbourne, he always wears a great big cross around his neck.
Oh yes.
Now, before he had a cross, it was actually the head of a tap. The actual head of a faucet or a tap, depending on where you are in the world, would you believe? But yeah, and some of the jobs he actually did before he became a singer were...
He worked in a slaughterhouse, in a car factory as a horn tester.
Yeah, tuning car horns.
Yes.
Who would have thought you have to tune a car horn?
I suppose you do.
Yeah,
no,
I suppose you do. Yeah. Then what was it? An apprentice toolmaker.
Yes. Apprentice toolmaker. And then construction, like site worker as well.
So lots of sort of manual jobs, and then
gets his little hands dirty.
Yes. So
how
he got into it. Now his father was Jack. It was his father's name.
Yes.
Now, if you don't know, Jack is actually short for John. Don't ask me why, it just is. Well, it is in the UK, I'm not sure about anywhere else, but it just is. He he was a night shift worker at GEC, that was actually in Aston as well.
Oh, General Electric.
General Electric Company, I think it was in Electric Avenue, hence Electric Avenue in Aston.
We're going to rock down to.
Well, yeah, kind of, yeah. Apart from that was in London, this one's in Birmingham,
Oh, yes,
so
yes.
big difference. So Electric Avenue in Aston, that got scrapyards on, and he got the big GEC factory, and his dad was a night shift worker there.
Yes.
And while they hadn't got a great deal of money, his dad actually bought him a PA system.
Wow.
And that's kind of how his venture started. So what he actually did was he put an advertisement in a local shop on the window, which he could in those days.
Yes.
Just hand scribbled something out, and I think it was something like Ozzy Zig needs a gig. Has his own PA underneath. Now that was the draw for what became the members of Black Sabbath.
Yes.
Where they actually went round to Ozzy Zig's house only to find out it was actually that pest from school.
Oh,
it was sort of 2 or 3 years below them, and they were like, oh my god. But they kind of went with it.
Yes.
And I think now at the time, I think it was Geezer Butler who was in a band called Rare. What was it? Rare. No, it was Rare Breed.
Oh, do they?
It was in a band called Rare Breed. Rare Breed had split up, and they all sort of came together, and they were actually looking for a band name.
Oh yes.
Right. So what was that band name?
Is it the one where he's in his bathroom?
Well, yes. So they'd sat in this cafeteria.
Oh yeah.
Debating band names all day, apparently. And that's when he was in his bathroom. Ozzy Osbourne was in
the cabinet.
In his mum's bathroom.
All right. Was a family bathroom?
Well, yeah, sitting there having a crap. And what did he see?
He saw the pack of talc in the open cabinet called Polka Talc. Wanted to name his band Polka Talc.
Well, they actually did.
Oh right, I thought
no, Polka Talc.
It was a bad idea.
Well, he changed it from Polka Talc to Polka Talk Blues.
Oh, I see.
And they, obviously they didn't sort of last long under that guise. Then I think they called themselves Earth.
Yeah.
After that, but having been booked as the band Earth, what they realised is when they got to the gig, there was actually another band called Earth.
Oh my
so
gosh.
so it was the incorrect booking.
Oh.
So they then changed to the name Black Sabbath.
Yes.
And that's kind of self-explanatory. Named after basically it's a film.
Yes.
Where they
mentioned, Halloween.
We did indeed. So if you haven't seen that, go across and see that. But if you don't want to see that, we'll just tell you basically. It was a horror film introduced by Boris Karloff, and it was meant to be really, really scary. And what Black Sabbath realised before they actually called Black Sabbath was if they play scary songs, it freaks the audience out.
Alright.
So that's how they sort of came up with that one.
Yeah.
And the actual song Black Sabbath came from, I think it was Geezer Butler.
Yes.
Was actually reading a book on the occults, went to sleep, and then he just saw a big dark figure at the end of his bed, and so legend would have it, and that's what he wrote the lyrics on. In terms of Ozzy's personal life, so what do you know about that then?
Yes, he married his first wife, Thelma Riley. Yes, they had 2 children, a daughter Jessica and son Louis.
There you go.
Yes.
And I think they actually got divorced
They did, in 1982.
They did indeed.
Yeah.
But they lived in Staffordshire.
Okay, yes.
I believe it was
Is it a mansion, some mansions?
Well, no, it was Buck Cottage, I think.
Okay.
Which was a really nice part of Staffordshire. They lived there, and that marriage was never going to work.
It was rocky, weren't it? It was
Well,
up and down.
The only reason it was rocky because number one, the pressures of work in the band, where you're on tour all the time, and you're never going to be home because they were they started to get really, really big. Black Sabbath did.
Yes.
Really, really big.
Took off.
The first 2 LPs were commercially successful, which were Black Sabbath and then Paranoid,
Oh, yes.
especially Paranoid. That got loads of airplay. In fact, was it Paranoid that was a #1 single
Oh yes.
back in 71 or 72, I can't remember which,
One
we'll
of
put the
them,
date on the screen.
Yes.
But that was the catalyst that catapulted Black Sabbath forward.
Wow.
And because of those pressures, the bloke was never home.
That's it.
And then pressures on the road, substance abuse, copious amounts of alcohol and different drugs, cocaine and LSD, in gargantuan quantities to sort of help you sort of pass the time, to help you get through gigs and whatever else. And you could see that was destined to fail.
Yes, of course.
Right from the
And it
get-go.
did.
And the pressures from the fact that the band's management weren't straightforward with the band,
No.
and they ripped them off.
They did, big time, didn't
they
they?
ripped them off blind, and they didn't see that coming. The other thing as well was when they sort of got to I think the 3rd LP was something like Master of Reality, which actually that went platinum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it did.
What was this?
But the Rolling Stone magazine called it naive.
Oh.
But you know what? Who cares about the Rolling Stone magazine? That, you know, if you look at their top 500, it's an opinion.
Yes.
It's an opinion,
Opinions
but
differ.
it does. But the opinions of journalists sometimes, you know, it's what people sit there and they read that and they go, "Oh, he's written that; it must be true." And actually, it wasn't
Not
true.
always, no.
And then Volume 4, when they came to Volume 4, that was also panned by critics as well. But it turned platinum within a month, or gold within a month.
Wow, big up.
So
big
there you
time.
go. The fans have the voice there, do they not?
Yeah, it's all about the fans.
Exactly. And then by the time they got to, I think by the time they got to Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, that was critically acclaimed, and the
Yes.
Rolling Stone actually did an about turn. They said that's an absolutely amazing LP, and I couldn't agree more. But after which point, the band realised they were actually getting ripped off blind, and like really badly ripped off. So there were 2 LPs that were like sort of 2 fingers up to the management and record companies, which were Sabotage. We'll put a picture of this on the screen. In fact, we put pictures of the screen of all of them.
Yeah.
But Sabotage, that was it was literally 2 fingers up. All of the lyrics were about how they got ripped off as well.
Yes.
So it was the ultimate diss album. But it's a really angry album as well, and I think it's one of their
You
best.
blame them?
I think it's one of their best works, just for
Of course.
the sheer heaviness of it.
Yes.
And then we sold our soul for RockN Roll, you know, which was like a double. That was like a double LP,
Yes.
like kind of like a greatest hits type of thing. But meanwhile, the pressures were building and building and building, and the band were finding it harder and harder to sort of #1 to get along. Ozzy and Tony Iommi never really liked each other that much. There were always there were fights.
Always scrapping.
Yeah, there was definitely, and it's, you know, when you put drink and drugs into the mix, that's always going to
Never
happen.
going to work.
So fast forward to 78, 79, and they're making I believe it was I'm going to say it was the Never Say Die LP. So that would have been 79.
Yes.
And basically they were all over the shop. They just couldn't. It wasn't coherent. It took them ages to finish, to the point where the band sacked Ozzy Osbourne,
Okay.
stating and citing that the drink and drug abuse for Ozzy had led to the band's sort of demise.
Yes.
When that wasn't really the case.
It was all at it, weren't they?
well,
Drinking and drugging.
Oh hell yeah, they were. But
picking on poor Ozzy.
that didn't come out till later, and it was Bill Ward who actually, Bill Ward actually defended Ozzy, and he said, look, he said, you know, he said everyone was doing this. It wasn't just Ozzy, everyone was doing it, but it was, you know, they were all doing different substances.
Oh right.
You know, so
make you react differently.
But when Ozzy got sacked, and the band gave him £96,000 as severance for his share of the band's name and everything that kind of went with it. And he sort of holed up in a hotel in California.
Yes.
And wanted nothing to do with anything.
Shut the world away.
Basically, what he was going to do, he was going to drink himself into annihilation. Stay there for about 3 months and return home to Birmingham. Back to being unemployed, and he got that into his head. But out of darkness cometh light, and Sharon Arden.
Yes.
So Sharon Arden, now known as Sharon Osbourne,
yes.
Who is Don Arden's daughter.
Yes.
She decided to take a punt on him.
Yes, she did.
And manage him under the. And that was under the blessing of Don Arden. Now, Don Arden was actually managing Black Sabbath at the time.
Yes.
And he suggested that Ozzy call himself Son of Sabbath.
Okay.
Ozzy didn't want to do that, and literally after trying in different musicians and sort of a brief sort of flirtation with Gary Moore and musicians of that ilk, he settled upon what was known as the Blizzard of Oz.
Oh yes.
So, the Blizzard of Oz, do you know who was in the Blizzard of Oz?
I'm not really sure.
No. So, Randy Rhoads.
Oh, the American, oh yes, I remember that.
Randy Rhoads was actually in a band called Quiet Riot, that's where he came from.
Yes.
Then I think there was Bob Daisley, Lee Kerslake. Blizzard of Oz, that took the world by storm. It just literally, it catapulted those guys into stardom. Way bigger than Black Sabbath could ever be. It just literally, it exploded.
Amazing.
And I would say part of the reason for it was the amazing prowess of Randy Rhoads.
Yes.
Just absolutely, completely different.
He was a dude, wasn't he? He was a rock dude.
He was just
guitar dude.
A tiny little pint-sized, tiny little pint-sized person. But he'd pick that polka dot flying V up and literally, wow, he could really, really play that thing, and he could play it so well.
Definitely.
Yeah, he was.
Blow you away.
Literally, he was one of my favourite guitarists. You know, alongside Richie Blackmore and people like that.
Yes.
But Randy Rhoads was the person for me.
That's it.
But funny story about Ozzy. So when he was holed up in this hotel, feeling sorry for himself. I think, if I remember rightly, I can't remember if it was Gary Bush or someone, I can't remember who it was, but a journalist went to visit him in the hotel.
Oh yes.
And
to interview him.
To say, what are you doing? And Ozzy's lying there in bed, he hasn't got out of bed for days. And the journalist stand there and Ozzy says, no, if you want to interview me, you've actually got to get into bed with me. And this journalist is like, what? And he says, you've got to get into bed with me.
Oh God.
So he jumps into his bed and he's like, what's that? And he's like, it's all damp, and he thinks,
oh God.
Is that a baby oil or something? And Ozzy says, no, I've just pissed the bed like for days on end.
Gross.
The Prince of Darkness. And that's the way he was. He just like literally let himself go. But it was Sharon. It was Sharon who literally pulled him round and said, no. She saw something in him. That I don't know whether it was. I don't actually, thinking about it, I don't actually know whether it was money, or ability, or his stunning good looks, or whatever.
For him, maybe.
She did, yeah. Yes. She did. And they eventually got married. After, so they divorced in. Thelma and Ozzy divorced in 82. Then Sharon and Ozzy got married after that. Yeah. So
they had Amy, Kelly, and Jack. The three children.
Indeed, they did.
Yes.
So going back to Blizzard of Oz. So Blizzard of Oz, because it became when I say stratospherically successful, you know, it was just nobody had heard anything like that at all. It was just fresh. It was heavy, but they were panned as well. They were actually panned. So the front of the LP, we'll put a picture of the LP on the screen, and you can see it's Ozzy Osbourne holding a crucifix, and the opening track is Mr Crowley. Now, if you don't know who Mr Crowley is, Alistair Crowley, who was a devil worshipping bon vivant of the 1930s, 20s and 30s. Who was the original hellraiser, a socialite, but an absolute beer drinking, orgy ridden, everything. In fact, everything you ever wanted to be. And you're not allowed to because you're married and you've got to be a good boy like me. But you kind of get the picture. And that, he got panned for that. The whole band got panned for that because they said it was really, really satanic. And there was a song on there called Suicide Solution, where somebody actually committed suicide. They said because of that.
Okay, is that when they got taken to court?
Later he got taken to court, and it was just that little thing under there where there was like those little ad libs, and they said it was get the gun, shoot, and it was nothing of the sort. It was just nothing. It just it sounded like it, but it sounded like if you held one ear and stood on one leg. If you kind of get the drift, but they tried to make it sound like that.
Yes. It didn't go. There was nothing of the sort.
Nothing of the sort, but sort of rewind. At the time, I think they were on Jet Records at the time. But then what they wanted to do was sign to CBS, and Sharon had lined up this amazing deal with CBS. And the idea was for Ozzy to go in and meet the record executives, and release doves into the atmosphere, and everything would be happy. But Ozzy had a drink.
I went a bit wrong, went a bit feet-tongue.
Well, so they've released these doves. He sat on the secretary's lap, absolutely pissed out of his brains, and grabbed one of these doves and bit the head off it. And spat it out.
Just imagine the poor woman jumping up and screaming her head off.
Everybody in that room was freaked out. I mean, completely freaked out, like you would not believe. And it's just, you know, why wouldn't you? But now, newspapers being newspapers, that went global. It went global straight away because why? You know, even I don't like newspapers, but to read that in the newspaper is absolutely brilliant. I think it was just an absolute masterstroke because there's only one way that man's going to go, and that's famous. Even more famous than he ever was. And they knew that his antics were absolutely wild. I mean, like wild, like you
wilder
wouldn't
than
believe.
wild.
But that was issues with drink and drugs. And the same year, I think it was 1982. So literally, he'd been sort of sworn off drink or drugs, and he wasn't allowed out. That was it. He was just he couldn't do it. So Sharon had confiscated all his clothing.
Oh yes.
And
I remember this.
What else had she done? She took all his money.
Yes, everything that he owned. He hid it away, locked up the house, hid the keys.
So, but he needed to get out, didn't he?
Yes. But what she didn't do is hide her stuff. So he took one of her dresses, a floral dress of all things, and went out. And
got absolutely lagging drunk.
In Sharon's floral dress.
As you do, but the issue was, because it was in Texas, and the Alamo was just round the corner, where they've got a cenotaph for all the war dead, he decided, in his infinite wisdom, that he was going to piss up the Alamo. And
out of all the places to have a piss.
Yeah, exactly. And subsequently got arrested for it, as you do. And hey presto, in the newspapers again.
Bloody.
Yeah. So I think what we should do is take a break, and we'll come back and we'll get some more Ozzy.
Yes.
So watch this, guys.
Steer there.
We'll be back shortly.
Sharon!
You see here? I wrote that on the wall. Iron Void. See?
What's that stand for?
I was just thinking of band names. I thought, Iron Void, that's a good name for a band. Do you know that the weirdest thing, I have dreams and I can be chased by herds of elephants and whatever, and I open the door and I'm in Lodge Road again. It's really weird.
Were you poor, or is that just...
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. Absolutely, we had nothing. We had hand to mouth. We were like, best up, first up, best fed, you know.
At his old school, the pupils don't know who he is. It's the staff who want the autographs from a 47-year-old survivor.
He's very kind of you.
I no longer drink booze, I no longer take drugs. I work out every day. But I had no choice because, you know, the doctors were telling me I was slowly, well, not slowly, killing myself.
Hi, Night Flight fans. We're talking with the one and only Ozzy Osbourne. Good evening, Ozzy.
What?
Good evening, Ozzy.
Hello there.
How are you?
Fine.
Ozzy,
You get all these crazy people that come and throw this junk on stage, and you know. I thought it was one of these rubber bats. I pictured it was a real bat. You know.
was it alive?
Well, it was till I bit the head off it, you know. The taste of bats is very salty. It tastes like salt.
Tastes like anything else?
Well, yes, but I can't really say that on the air, can I, Harry? What the fuck am I doing? I'm stuck on the Weather Channel. Ah! What the fuck is that?
Well, what do you do to relax?
Smoke marijuana.
You were joking when you said that, of course.
Yeah, right.
All day long I think of things, but nothing seems to satisfy. Think I'll lose my mind if I don't find something to satisfy. Can you help me? Occupy my brain. Oh yeah.
I don't listen to new metal bands. I don't listen and go, give me the top 10 of the new metal. I gotta. Cause one of the dangers of that is if I start to like it, if something gets in my head, it'll come out my mouth, you know.
So you listen to a lot of Justin Bieber? Is that, are we gonna, Justin Bieber?
Who the fuck's Justin Bieber?
Good.
Ozzy, not wood! You could be done for manslaughter! Oh, he's going to the side of the house with him. Ozzy!
Hello to the window.
You gotta listen to my words, yeah.
Holy shit.
You can do it, Ozzy! Bite his freaking head off!
No!
Hit him in the flash!
Get here, Ozzy.
I won't hurt you.
Look at Snooky. She's not even happy right now.
Hey, who bought the fucking midget?
Go fuck yourself, honestly.
Oh, you gonna pull up his fucking speakers.
I don't like you.
Hey, you just shut the fuck up and come and blow me.
That was whatever you did today.
It's because I'm a Mexican.
Who remembers?
So fucking it never ends.
Yo, welcome back everybody. I hope you enjoyed that little bit there.
And in the words of Ozzy, rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
So, Rock, before we were rudely disrupted and interrupted by us taking a break, but that's age that creeps up on you because you need,
Need a what?
yeah, your functions, if you know what I mean.
I see
Rock,
that.
we were talking about where he bit the head off actually we went out to the Alamo.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And pissed at the side of the Alamo, the centre staff there.
Yes.
As you do.
It's a sacred thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? Naughty Ozzy.
So a few months later,
Yes.
on tour in the US, where because he'd sort of bit the head off a dove,
Yes.
somebody in the audience threw a bat on stage.
Is it a real bat?
Well, he thought it was a rubber bat.
Oh yes.
And he bit the head off it only to find out it was a real bat.
Oh gosh.
And he ended up being treated for rabies.
I'm gonna get rabies.
Well,
oh God.
Yeah, exactly. Well, rumour has it that it actually bit him when he bit the head off, but
oh my God.
Whether that's true or not, or whether that's just added,
speculation.
Who knows? Because I would imagine if you threw a bat up on stage,
it's going to flutter into it or start moving.
I would have thought so.
Not if it's dead already.
I don't know, but you know, you ended up biting the head off anyway.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so wild antics.
Yeah, it's proper.
Wild antics, and then you know, for what, gigs and gigs and gigs. Now I've seen Ozzy probably. I don't know how many times I've seen Ozzy and Black Sabbath.
Lots of times.
Lots and lots of times.
Lost count.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Birmingham Town Hall. You know, that was a good gig. Then obviously NEC, Download, Donington. Sorry.
Oh yes.
Birmingham Odeon, amongst Stafford Bingley Hall as well.
Oh yes.
Amongst Birmingham Bingley Hall, amongst many others as well.
So many to count.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. But the sort of crack became when it was Ozzy, the people would just throw literally rubber bats on.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
He's looking down and thinking, oh, I'm not going to touch that, I ain't touching it.
It just became a thing. Yeah.
That sounds silly, crazy.
Yeah, but then so by which time he'd gone through different LPs. Now, Randy Rhoads,
yes,
he died,
yeah,
didn't he?
Sadly, in a helicopter accident, was it? Helicopter?
It was a helicopter or a light aircraft. It clipped the top of the turbo bus when it came to land, and literally it killed the housekeeper, if I remember rightly, the pilot, and Randy Rhoads.
And his girlfriend as well.
Yeah, just wiped him out completely. And that changed Ozzy forever.
Yes.
Because
that was his best buddy.
It was, and it was the most unlikely pair. It really was. Randy Rhoads was quiet and really unassuming, just like a little timid mouse. But Ozzy, larger than life. Gosh. You know, if there's a party, Ozzy's going to be there. Yeah, and he's going to outdo everyone, literally outdrink everyone, outdrug everyone. It's just that's just the nature of that man. But you know, you wouldn't need a better buddy than Ozzy.
That's it.
In my humble opinion.
Yes.
But when he died, it just changed. It changed the whole thing completely.
Yes.
And he just went through. It was real heavy substance abuse. Really heavy substance abuse. But his music didn't suffer.
Okay.
He did. I think he did "Bark at the Moon," which I think was his third LP. Or was it his fourth LP? No, it was his fourth LP. So Blizzard of Oz. Then it was Diary of a Madman. Then it was Speak of the Devil if you're in the United States, or Talk of the Devil if you're in the UK, which was a live LP.
Yeah.
That was Black Sabbath covers.
Oh.
Which is kind of strange, but
did they allow it though, the rest of the band?
Well, they've got no choice.
Okay.
They've got no choice. They did it. You know, they did it, and you know, they were bigger than Black Sabbath. Way bigger. And then when he did Bark at the Moon, which was a phenomenal hit, commercial hit. He had issues with that as well. So I believe there was a bit where he's looking into where he's looking into the mirror. Yes. The mirror explodes, and but literally loads of that just exploded, and there were shards of it.
Was it part of the? Was it an act?
Yeah, it was part of the video.
Oh, I see.
It was part of the video, but bits of those went into his. Went into him, bits of it went into him, like shards of it. Where he had to have emergency surgery. So, you know, you can see the look that he's had. So, moving back to Black Sabbath, when Ozzy went, they got Ronnie James Dio as the singer. For it was like the first two LPs they did, as Black Sabbath with Dio as the singer. And those are literally good. Now, if you don't know who Ronnie James Dio was with Rainbow,
yes.
Absolutely amazing, so completely different to Ozzy.
He was.
But he just, it it was really, really heavy. Well, I think they did Mob Rules. They did Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules.
Yes.
Which were, well, I think they were phenomenally good. So they were doing okay, but then Dio left the band and they just went through a rash of singers actually. Like people like Tony Martin and
Goodness me.
and Ian Gillan
Yes.
as well.
Oh yes.
Ian Gillan from Deep Purple.
Yes.
Well, they did Born Again. I actually went to that tour. I went to one of the Ronnie James Dio tours, which was the Mob Rules tour, and then the Born Again tour as well, which were absolutely brilliant.
Gosh.
Did to the Heaven and Hell tour.
Oh.
My sins.
They both got strong voices. Ronnie James Dio being on Little Doctor as well. A strong belting voice, and Ian Gillan.
Ian Gillan's
can really belt it
he's an
out.
absolute screamer.
Yes.
And that LP Born Again was absolutely brilliant. But he only did the one LP with them, and he forgot his words on stage.
Oh dear.
Would you believe he just forgot the words and just
gosh.
as you do.
Yes.
Absolute famous folk. So fast forward to the mid '90s.
Oh yes.
Ozzy Osbourne had got as his guitarist Zakk Wylde.
All right.
Zakk Wylde's been with Ozzy for ever and ever, from Black Label Society,
All right.
and they'd kind of got the mojo together.
Yeah.
But never one to miss a trick. Sharon decided upon Sharon Ozzy with Jack as well.
Oh yes.
Now Jack's a clever little person.
Yes.
Ozfest.
All right.
So
First.
yeah, the Ozfest. So the Ozfest was a festival, obviously, and it was a festival of heavy metal,
Yes.
heavy rock, up and coming bands, always with like a couple of headliners, and that ran from '96 to 2018. Was it 2018?
Yes, it was.
Where that literally it grossed $100 million. To the point where it fell by the wayside because things change, which is a bit of a shame. It really is. But always one for the limelight. Cribs, MTV Cribs.
Oh yes.
So, do you remember that episode of MTV Cribs?
Yes, where they get shown round and the cameras are allowed into someone's home. You show off what you've got.
Yeah.
All different parts of the house, from your front door to your kitchen, your living room, your bedroom, your bathrooms. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've not seen that, go and I don't even know if you can find those anymore. But what it normally did was pick an alleged star, didn't
Yes,
it? You know,
it did.
anyone from Mel being the Spice Girls,
That's
she did
it.
one.
Yes, she did, yes.
Missy Elliott did another one.
Robbie Williams.
Robbie Williams
That's
did.
when he moved to America.
Yeah. Then I've got a feeling was it LeBron James, was it Kobe Bryant?
One of them, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
And then other people as well. But
Right.
Ozzy, when he did his, literally, he was 3 parts cut.
Again.
And MTV found it absolutely hilarious. But the Cribs he did was at his old house.
All right.
Then he got his new house,
Oh yes.
which was just done, and they decided to do the series
Oh, at home with the Osbournes.
Home of the Osbournes,
Yes.
which was just phenomenal.
I know. We tuned into that. We didn't miss an episode.
It was hilarious.
It was
absolutely
I
hilarious.
still love tuning into that.
But at that point in time, he was probably at one of his weakest times,
Okay.
and purposely or just to make better TV,
Reality TV. This is.
reality TV,
Yes.
they would ply him.
Oh,
They
right.
would ply him with drink and whatever else they could just to get a better reaction.
More viewings, maybe.
More viewed, yeah, because that's
just
exactly what he made. Just to make him like the craziest person you've
Even more
ever
crazier
saw.
than ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Like as if you needed that. As if you needed that.
Oh my gosh.
But was it 2000 and... When did he have his accidents?
Oh gosh.
He had an accident on a quad
He
bike,
did,
didn't
didn't
he?
he?
Where he actually...
He broke something.
I think he broke about 8 ribs, a vertebrae and something else, and he stopped breathing, and it was his bodyguard that resuscitated him. literally, but that was in Berkshire. So they've got like a
back
family,
in England.
they've got a family home in Berkshire,
Yes.
England, and you had quad bike accidents.
Yes, yes.
So
I remember
absolute,
that. So I can't remember the year though.
absolute crazy. I will put it on the screen actually,
Yes.
but I've got a feeling somewhere in the back of my mind it's 2013.
Okay.
But it could have been 2003. It was one or the other. I can't remember. The years just
Just fly, don't they?
they fly by. You know, so I could be a decade out there, but who cares? You know.
Okay.
It's on the screen, obviously. So.
Yes. Mr Moonstomper. Mr Moonstomper.
Yes, Mrs
stumbled over me
Moonstomper.
once. Did you know they have 19 studio albums?
Black Sabbath.
Yes.
I did indeed, actually.
Oh yes, yes.
I did indeed, because I've got all of those.
8 live albums.
I haven't got 8 live albums, but I've got a few live albums.
13 compilation albums.
I've got a few compilations. But there's a thing for you as well.
Oh,
So Ozzy Osbourne, if I remember rightly, now he had a #1 single in, I think, was it Paranoid in '71,
I think so. Yes.
and then
Oh yes.
the next #1 single was with
His daughter.
Kelly.
Oh yes.
So, and it was the Black
Oh,
Sabbath
yes.
song Changes,
That's it.
where they
Re-
redid that, and I
the
think that
reboot.
was 35 years later.
Wow.
There you go.
Yes, him and little Kelly.
Yeah, and there's a thing for you. So when they were doing the Dehumanizer LP in, I'm going to say that was 1990 or 91.
Okay.
So Ozzy wasn't with Sabbath then.
No.
It was Ronnie James Dio had rejoined.
Oh yes.
I was actually rehearsing in the studio, actually next to Black Sabbath in Birmingham. So
Yes.
they were rehearsing in one studio. My band were rehearsing in the other studio, and they were actually doing the music for Dehumanizer.
Alright.
While Ronnie James Dio was actually doing I think he was doing the lyrics in, I've got a feeling it was Los Angeles or somewhere like that. And then they actually made the LP was actually done at Rich Bitch recording studios in Birmingham. But they were rehearsing at a place called Roadmanners for the initial rough rehearsals,
Yes.
which is where we were rehearsing.
Oh, wowzers,
as well.
trousers.
So there you go. Yeah,
Also, 9 video albums they've got.
have indeed.
Yes.
They have indeed.
3 extended plays.
No, I don't know what the EPs are. I can't
Okay.
remember.
Ah.
I'm sure I recall it, and I'm quite sure I've got 1 or 2, but I'd have to have a flick through
Yes. And 37 albums.
in total.
No, sorry. 37 singles.
But
37, yes.
37, but not many of those charted in the United Kingdom.
Oh,
They
right.
charted across the world,
Yes,
incidentally.
yes.
So there you go.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Yes.
And then the most amazing film. So Motley Crue,
Alright.
when they sort of came out around about 1982
Okay.
in LA,
The rock band, American rock band.
and they were known for being one of the dirtiest bands ever. So if you haven't seen that film, there's a film called The Dirt,
Alright.
which is about Motley Crue.
Yes.
There's also a book as well. The book's actually better than the film.
Yes.
But that's where they met Ozzy Osbourne, and they realised that Ozzy Osbourne was dirtier than them. They were just like, wow, this bloke's like this. This bloke is another level of like absolute
Wildness.
crazy.
You just can't tame him.
Absolute crazy.
They couldn't
No,
tame him.
who else would snort a line of ants?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I heard when they saw that, they went, whoa, this
Yeah.
guy's something else, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something like that.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. There you go.
They're no longer on the wild list, that Motley Crue.
No, exactly. They kind of like ruled it in after that. Went, do you know what? We'll leave it to Ozzy.
Yes.
Yeah. And then other surprises as well. So when he did the opening gig with Black Sabbath at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham,
Oh wow.
the Commonwealth Olympic Games, which was when they opened up, and that was a complete surprise. Nobody knew that they were gonna
Okay.
sort of appear and Ozzy, out come Ozzy. And that was just like, wow, that was amazing. That really was.
Oh, Mr Moonstomper. I've heard that Ozzy's not very well these days.
He isn't now. He's right. So when everybody's watching at home with the Osbournes, right, he always that
Yeah, the shakes.
the shakes, yeah.
Yes.
And everybody thought that was Parkinson's disease.
Okay.
Because that's the classic sort of symptoms.
Yeah, one of the symptoms. Yes.
What it actually is, what he's got is Parkinson's syndrome,
Okay.
which comes from Parkinson's disease, hence the shaking.
The shakes.
Yeah.
Alright, goodness me.
And, you know, I mean, what's he now, 70, 75?
Something like that, yes.
75, rapidly approaching, what are we now, 2020? It's actually approaching 76. 76 in a couple of months.
Goodness me, yes.
So, you know, I would say, I would really say, for all that he's done, for all he's put himself through, he's given a really good account of himself.
Yes.
Probably more so than Lemmy. But I couldn't, and I don't know about you, Mrs Moonstomper, we couldn't feature Lemmy without featuring Ozzy.
That's it. You had to be there. We had to get Ozzy in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are like the two
yeah.
top kings of rock and roll.
Yeah,
Ozzy and Lemmy.
And I'm glad you said rock and roll as well. You know, because a lot of people, Black Sabbath, heavy metal, and that to me,
You don't agree?
No, I don't agree.
No.
I don't agree. I just think it's rock and roll.
Yes.
How many times has he gone on stage? He's gone rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Yeah,
rock
he
and
doesn't
roll.
say heavy metal.
No, he doesn't.
Doesn't say heavy
It's
metal.
always
at
rock
all.
and roll.
Rock and roll, yeah. Maybe heavy metal later, but rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
And that's what it should be, in my opinion.
Yes.
So, but coming up, what we will have is we will have a video on heavy metal.
Oh yes.
Where we look at actually heavy metal.
Yes.
The real heavy metal.
And the difference between rock and metal as well. Maybe.
Quite probably.
Yes.
And things such as the new wave of British heavy metal and American metal as well. How that differs as well.
Yes.
And I'll tell you all about that because there's some good subtle differences there.
Oh,
And it's probably not what you think, but it's something I know 100%.
Oh yes. Again, connoisseur.
Well, I don't know about that. Right, so Mrs Moonstomper,
Yes, Mr. Moonstomper.
I don't really want to ask you this, but have you got anything else?
All I can say is, say it loud, say it clear. You can listen as well as you hear.
That's told me.
Yes, and you lot, you Moonstomperoonies.
There you go, it's told you guys as well.
Yeah.
Can't beat being told by Mrs Moonstomper. There you go. And I get that every day
Own
of
it.
my life. Right, so I've got nothing else.
No.
So guys, I'm going to bid you farewell, and until the next time, much love, peace and respect.
Saying goodbye.
I've been Mr Moonstomper.
Love you. Love you.